Welcome to Democracy 2.0 with Wayne Bouchard. I got that right this time. Wow. I think in a year or two, I think I'll get it perfectly.
No, we're going to change the name.
Oh, please. I think the name should be Would You Believe?
What you believe, yeah. Okay.
Anyway, you heard hearing this on MalcolmPresents.com, a new streaming service, streaming platform. Heard
Hmm.
again, Wayne is heard exclusively on MalcolmPresents.com that has many other shows for your entertainment and educational value. Anyway, Wayne, what's the news of the day?
You just can't avoid the news of the day being that Queen Elizabeth died.
Yeah,
You know, she was 96 years old, and
96.
she had a 70-year run. Man, that's pretty good.
That's the longest ever of a monarch.
Longest ever of any monarch. Yep. And
I mean,
she was quite a lady.
she lived through a lot. I think she took over 1952, right after the England was surviving World War II.
Yes, and I read that she made her first address to the nation when she was 14 during the war. She made an address to the children of England.
I
I did
didn't
not
realize
know.
that. Yeah, but she happened to become the queen by circumstance, because it was her uncle, King Edward, who well, he was a queen. I think he was a king for 9 years, and he abdicated
Abdicated the throne, correct,
for the love of a woman.
for the love of a woman.
And then his brother took over, who was Queen Elizabeth's dad. I think it was King George something or other. I get confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I watched that series on PBS called The Crown,
Yeah.
and it was very informative. I know my wife is one of those people that is enamored with the monarch and all the trappings and the castles and where they go for this time of the year, what they do that time of the year. And it's all very interesting, but um,
What does it really mean?
they have no political clout anymore. So it's just the monarchy is a figurehead.
Well, I think they have political clout. They don't have actual ruling clout. I think their opinions are, at least with a certain part of the government, are taken into consideration.
But they don't make political addresses anymore.
No.
They talk to the prime minister, and I think even the prime minister is taken aback when they decide that they want to exert their will on a certain part of the political, maybe not philosophy. Yeah, the political philosophy, the political agenda,
Yeah.
more so. And they would like to see such and such happen. And the prime minister kind of snaps to attention when they start talking like that.
Well, he would like them to shut up.
Yes, yes,
Well, what's fascinating, I don't know if you've seen the series Downton Abbey,
yes.
but this shows you how the average, the common folk relate to the aristocracy, and and being an American, being born here, it's completely foreign to me.
Yeah, I would not defer to someone just because he happens to have the title of Lord.
Right, and he was born into the position.
Yes, or married into it,
We're married
as
into
as the individual on Downton Abbey. In his case, he married into that family that had all the money, and owned Downton Abbey and all the estates associated with it. So
But what's interesting is how the servants related to them. You know,
yes,
how they defer to them as some sort of uh, well, I guess it was God-given authority.
yes,
You know,
yes. As far as the butler on Downton Abbey was concerned, I think his name was Carson, right? You
excellent
know,
actors. I forget their name, but
yeah, the what the hell was his name now?
I
And he,
don't ask me to remember.
he could do no wrong.
But
Absolutely could do no wrong.
the pecking order was there.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and there's a whole group of movies, and I'm forgetting who it was with uh, Anthony Hopkins, British
Oh,
movies about the aristocracy and the
those are a long time ago.
yeah, but yeah, but it gives you sort of like an insight on how people felt about the more or less the common people felt that the aristocracy were born into that, and that's and the king and the queen. They were getting their I forget what it's called again. Yeah, but their birthright.
The interesting thing about the British monarchy is that it is more German by blood than it is British.
Yeah. Well, they were all intermarried. I mean, everybody was everybody's cousin. May not be first cousin or second cousin, but they
Yeah.
were they were all married, and that's why we have the lunacy of the kingdoms, the crowns.
Thank God. Thank God we don't have to deal with that because we have nothing but perfectly sane, normal politicians here to deal with.
Excuse me. Have you been following the news lately, or the last 6 years?
I have. And before we leave the monarchy, Prince Charles is due to take over as king.
He is. He's now officially ordained. I think as of the death, he was Prince
Yes.
Charles III.
But the coronation will be at some later time.
I
But what
think
about his wife? Isn't there a question of some problem with his wife?
she
She
will be the
won't
queen
be.
consort.
Which what the hell does that mean?
That means she's I don't know. Whatever a consort is.
Well,
It
in
sounds
some
like
circles, it's not a very good thing. It's not a very
well,
pleasant.
it is if you're British, if you're English.
Okay.
If you're American, if it's a consort, it's some hooker that he's took up with.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's interesting. But
But
anyway, he's no spring chicken either. He's
he's
73.
73, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not. I don't know if he's that popular ever since the Diana days.
Personally, I think they should do away with the monarchy, sell all those castles, and do something good with all that money.
We give it to the homeless.
Do something with it.
But well, the thing is, from the news I've been gathering, of today, it's sort of like I think England per se, Great Britain will keep the monarchy, but some of the other countries, like Australia, is New Zealand part of the?
I believe it is. I believe it is.
But I know I've been listening to some news from Australia, and they sort of might vote on keeping the monarchy or not. And then I'm not sure about Scotland or Ireland.
Oh, I think both of those countries would love to split.
And so I don't know. As far as England per se itself, I think they would keep the monarchy. From well, at least some. Well, I know people over here who were crying this morning. They're English born. I mean, but they've been here since for 30, 40 years. But they really had an affinity to the Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like everybody's grandmother.
Yes. Yes. And she was apparently quite a horse person
Yeah.
and an expert on breeding racehorses.
What else did she have to do? Not to be disrespectful.
Now, is Canada part of the UK, the United
Not
Kingdom?
not part of the United Kingdom. It might be part of the Commonwealth, and I'm not sure what a Commonwealth is.
I, that puzzles me also. It's like in this country, I'm not sure what. How can we live in a township that's part of another township? How the hell does that happen?
It's known as a dual township.
I don't
I
get it.
have no idea. But then again, you live in New Jersey. I have no idea how Jersey is still a state.
I have no how they're still a state.
Yeah. You have to remember, I'm from New York or New York City,
Well, it should have been divided up a long time ago, and the northern part should have gone with New York, and the southern part should have gone with Philadelphia and Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Yeah. Uh,
But
Again, I live in New York, and the only thing I know about New Jersey, it's we had to build a bridge to get there, George Washington Bridge.
well, you had a couple of tunnels and some other.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the Lincoln Tunnel and the Holland Tunnel,
right.
and
And we're building a new tunnel now
where to?
between New Jersey and New York. I believe it's strictly for rail traffic.
For rail?
Yeah, for commuter traffic and whatever
Didn't Trump want to build a wall so people from New Jersey couldn't get into New York?
other. I have often kidded about that between New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Build a wall at the Delaware Water Gap. Keep those Pennsylvanians out of here. They come over here, they steal all our jobs, they mess with our women, they use up all our tax money. Keep them over there on the other side of the Delaware Water Gap.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep people out of California. I think it's like the old days with the Okies, and we should put a barrier by the wall.
Yeah, what's the temperature out there today?
Oh, today wasn't bad. It was I think in the high 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
This week, I think that Saturday or Sunday was like about 105 degrees where I live, which is Sherman Oaks, and where my brother-in-law lives in the Woodland Hills, I think it was like 110 or 115. It was a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, walking out when it's 100, 102 degrees, you walk outside, oh my God.
Right.
You don't feel it right. The heat just envelops you, and there's no humidity. I can imagine if there was humidity attached to that.
Well, that's what Florida has to deal
To
with.
Florida and parts of New York.
Oh yeah, humidity around here is terrible in the summertime.
And
So
now,
let's. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
yeah, I said, and now they're expecting some rains, which they always say, but they said it's supposed to be thunder showers. I don't know.
We had rain for 2 days, so we're a lot better off.
But the question is, with the rain, we haven't found a system that would save the water. To use it for better purposes. Right now, if it rains in Los Angeles, it causes floods. It goes down to the sewer. It picks up all the garbage and the pollution, and then it goes into the ocean. We don't have any systems of reservoirs where we could save that water.
That's very poor planning on the part of the California.
Yeah, I think it's part of the United States. I think it was like Norway or Sweden or up north in Europe where they've found reservoirs to trap the water. Over here, which it just sort of sounds, I guess they could do it, but what they want to do is take the sewerage water and purify it, and the wastewater. And I don't know if just the concept of it makes me nauseous.
Well, I've never understood why they didn't build desalination plants and use the water from the ocean.
That's a big thing. I think they're working on it, but like, I don't think anything has really, come to fruition yet. Because every time we do something, someone says, "Oh no, it costs too much money." but they don't count the money that we're losing because we don't have the water.
Right. It has an economic impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to take the money and use it to prevent what's going to happen.
There was an interesting editorial in uh, Bloomberg News Service the other day about um, capitalism, saying that they were going to have to teach a basic course in capitalism to the GOP in order to understand why we had to shift away from fossil fuels and do something about the problems in our with our climate. Basically, it comes down to economics, and when it comes down to economics, shit happens. That's the end game. If it's a choice between whether or not we are an economically viable country or whether or not we're going to rely on coal and oil, guess what's going to win?
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing is the Republicans, to resist change, which they seem to be doing, and they want to go back to gasoline and oil and fossil fuels. This is what's destroying our country, and not our country. This is what's destroying the world. This is what's
planet. Yeah.
And they keep on saying that their only defense is, well, the other countries are doing it, but we have to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once if we establish ourselves as leaders, people are going to follow, because that's what people do, follow leaders.
Correct.
If we're namby-pamby, other countries will be namby-pamby.
Correct.
And
when it comes down to the economics of the situation, people usually recognize that it's more economically viable to do things a certain way than it is to destroy the planet.
what happens is evident in nowadays is if we continue the way we are, it costs us more money because of fires, because of the shortage of water, than if we bit the bullet now, bit the bullet and invested the money in alternative fuels.
Yes.
You got to do something. I'm working on now to set. I think I mentioned to you that I want to build a green platform. I want to have our shows, and we might be actually morph into this, in future shows about how we could become the leader of a green planet. How we could. It's like I have a group of now of volunteers that I have. I'm working with a group called We the World, which is like an international group concerning everything that's wrong with the world, including nuclear peace. But anyway, I'm getting a group of volunteers who are like in their 20s going to help me. I can do programming, and I know what programming I want, and I know the people to back it, and we could have on. Technology, I suck.
Right.
I barely can put this Zoomcast together and have it, but I want to do something where it's a little more, I guess word would be spiffy, with opening credits, music, but all about saving the world. And these volunteers, these kids in their 20s, they're enthusiastic about it. Because as I say to them, I may not be around in 20, 30 years. But they're going, they're 20 now. They're going to be in their 40s or early 50s. This is going to be their world and their children's world.
They're going to inherit the planet, and it's in terrible shape.
In terrible shape. It's I know over here, all these lakes and reservoirs are drying out, and they're finding all sorts of weird things, that's been hidden for decades.
Mm-hmm. And I think California's decision to do away with the internal combustion engine car had a significant impact, will have a significant impact on the rest of the country.
Well, hopefully. But the thing is, what I worry about is not having the infrastructure. Is that we do this, but for whatever reason, as industrial and as or as we were thought we were, and innovative, will we have the electric power to to have fuel for? I guess it would be fuel, but to fuel all these cars. Or will it be, oh, we've run out, you're not going to be able to use your car for a month?
That's a long term issue that has to be solved. And even more important than that is, will we finally come up with a national grid and a national policy, to assimilate all this solar and wind power and whatever other kind of power that we come up with. They're getting closer and closer to a solution to be able to use nuclear fusion.
That seems to be the way of the future.
And how do you distribute all this? We don't have a national grid. We don't have a policy. We don't even have coordinated safety procedures and switching mechanisms and overload protections for all this stuff.
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic, but as a realist, I don't know who should be empowered to do so. Whether the government is definitely, I mean, it's shown now. The Republicans or Democrats, who's ever in there, are incapable of governing. Big business takes advantage of everything, and I'm disappointed when I see the cellular chips, and we don't have them. Why not?
Well, there's a plan to get them back.
Right, but why did we get into this conundrum that we have right now?
Because it was cheaper to build them over in China.
Right, but don't they know the consequences?
They didn't think of the consequences.
Well, that's what I mean.
The consequences were far off.
Yeah, but this is what big business is supposed to take into account. I mean, I myself, I'm not involved with it, but the big business people, these multi-billion-dollar tycoons, they're supposed to be thinking of this or hiring people who will think about it. It's known as planning.
I think there has to be a combination of government and business. And speaking of planning, did you ever see FDR's plan to win World War II?
No. Did he have one?
He had one. He called in the what would currently be the Secretary of the Army and the Secretary of the Air Force, but it was all under one person at the time. Called him into the White House and he said, we need a plan. And I've been thinking about this. We have to have a plan to win this war. And he took a cocktail napkin and a pencil. And he wrote down a couple of things. Hold these 4 territories. I think it was Australia, India. I don't remember the other 2. The second thing was to defeat the Germans in France, and the third thing was, God, it escapes me now. And that was it. It was a cocktail napkin. It was classified as top secret for 20 some odd years. That napkin, believe it or not. I just read about that just a couple of weeks ago.
Do you think that's one of the things that Trump has? The napkin.
So this general brought this napkin back to the Pentagon and put it down on a conference table and said, okay, guys, these are the things we got to do. You guys figure out how to do them. The
Oh,
boss wants this done. It was almost like in Apollo 13 when he dumped all that crap out on the table and said, find a solution.
fine.
Failure is not an option.
Well, this reminds me a lot of the World War II movies where they're, island hopping and they need this island because this island controls,
Right.
the airways. You can have, the airplanes landing on it for refueling and have bases for our battleships.
Correct. Correct. What was that hill that they took? Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
If you look at that today and you laid that out in a classroom and suggested that we would sacrifice 250 soldiers to go up that hill and take that hill, everybody would say, why? What the hell do we need that hill for? Why do we need that island? And I don't remember the reason, but there was a strategic value to that island.
Well, yeah, because that's I don't know whether it's a landing strip or something where the Japanese can land and build up their armament and go on from there. It's like a stepping stone.
Right. So before we run out of time, let's talk about this special master that this judge in Florida has granted Donald Trump. And I believe, and you confirmed it, that the Department of Justice has decided to appeal this ruling.
Yeah, they did that this morning.
This morning?
I think it was this morning they did.
Wow. And where did they appeal it to? What court? The 11th Circuit Court?
I don't know. The Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what court this judge was involved with, the one who invoked the master thing.
Well, she's a federal judge in the state of Florida.
Yeah, so I know she was appointed by Trump.
Yeah.
But the question is, well, which I heard also, is how will they find a person who has a security clearance to go over all this data, who is not involved with one side or the other side, someone that both sides are going to agree upon? So
I don't know.
They say this might take months to find someone, but everything else that Donald Trump does, everything is delay.
Well, he thrives on delay.
Right, because I guess, his only hope right now would be that if the Republicans take the House in the midterm elections or the Senate, that nothing will be done.
Right, and then they'll impeach Biden and Merrick Garland.
Oh, yeah, definitely Merrick Garland, who they say, thank God he wasn't a Supreme Court justice. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Well, what would the world be like that? We would still have Roe v. Wade.
Yeah. I was amazed to hear that the director of the CIA, a former director of the CIA, said that he did not have the proper clearance to view that document, those nuclear secrets that apparently were found in Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Now we're not sure whether it was our nuclear secrets or nuclear secrets of other countries, whether they be our allies or our enemies.
Yeah, I have a personal opinion, and I think,
Go for it.
Trump doesn't do anything for the hell of it. He has a motive. So I believe that his motive was I believe his motive was leverage. He was going to use this document as leverage to get something from someone else that he might want or need.
Well,
just to play that scenario out, It could be the nuclear plans for Israel, and he could force somebody like Putin to do something that he wanted, and he would share those nuclear secrets with Putin, and that would be a you know a significant thing for the Russians to have, because Israel's probably got one hell of a nuclear stockpile.
Right. Plus nuclear defense.
Correct.
They have the cracks in their defense. But
Correct.
at this point, I'm not worried about Israel because Israel could take care of themselves. I'm wondering what's happening with the Mossad. What are they planning?
Well,
Ki-
maybe they're planning to take out Iran, and that would be, but all these things are very, very dangerous. They could set off a spark that could ignite, another world war, and that would be a very, very dangerous thing to happen at this
We
point.
wouldn't have to worry about climate change.
No, we wouldn't.
Well, what's happening also is that in in Ukraine, what happens if we hit the nuclear plant? The fallout. That's the largest nuclear plant in Europe, which of course no one really knew about it until this happened.
Is it the largest power plant in the world, or just in Europe?
I think in Europe.
Who's got
Well,
the largest nuclear power plant in the world?
I don't know. You might be right. But anyway, we'll worry
know.
about that next week because our time is up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, if we have the time and we have the funding, we should make this a daily show.
Yeah. Who's going to pay me?
Excuse me?
Who's going to pay me?
Money is not your need right now, but what basically it's a satisfaction that you're contributing, is that you're taking all your years and all your experience and partaking and giving it to our audience, the people who have a thirst for knowledge, who don't have your advantage of your experiences. You are letting them know the correct way of living, of life.
Wow. That was one hell of a line of BS, Malcolm.
Well, that's what the world is made of. That's what politicians are. You hear all of them say that. There's a great thing. There's a great thing on YouTube with George Carlin talking about religion, talking about people who believe all the malarkey, quoting our president, of the supreme being, of that out there is a God that knows everything, a mythical God that knows everything that you're doing. That he hears our talking right now.
Well, I have long since abandoned that philosophy of a power, a supreme being power. I like the concept personally of everyone should be entitled to have a God of their own understanding. A
That's part
maybe
of
not even call it a God, but something that they can rely on in times of need.
Actually, next week maybe we'll talk about religion.
Yeah. And we have up in the back of our property here a Lakota sweat lodge, which is one of the spiritual ceremonies of the Lakota Sioux. And it's an interesting philosophy, and I personally have chosen to take bits and pieces of Native American philosophy and adapt it to my own particular need.
Well, that's we used to have that in Brooklyn. It's called a schwitz. the Schlitz is the steam room, steam bath, and like
Yeah,
every weekend, these old guys would get in there, take off all their clothes, put on their towels, and talk about the problems of the world.
yeah.
That was a
So the this is it's actually spiritual in nature. So it's not just BSing about the
yeah.
problems of the world.
Well, you consider it spiritual. Other people consider it BS about the world. Under that note, and not to antagonize anybody else, I'll see you next week.
Amen. All right.
Send my love to Megan.
All
Bye.
right. All right, Malcolm. Take care. Enjoy.